So when people hear the word Niantic, they mostly think, I guess, about something like Pokemon Go or like Monster Hunter now, or some like AR game where you gotta walk through different locations and kind of collect stuff. And they even made many more games. There was this thing called like NBA All-Star, which, to be honest, I think didn't really, it didn't really make it through. I guess, how was it called? It was offered from Niantic, NBA All World, yeah. So this one was actually kind of cancelled only months after release. And so yeah, that's mostly, I guess, what people will come to mind when thinking about Niantic. But if you've kind of followed how the company was moving or how it was going in the last couple of years, so I guess mostly after the hype of Pokemon Go came to a peak, which was like about 2020, I guess. They mostly kind of tried to find some other game that was usually very similar to Pokemon Go. So I guess that Monster Hunter now was mostly like Pokemon Go, just with another franchise. So you also had to walk around and kind of find monsters in the real world and then beat them. But it didn't really help, I guess. And if we take a look at the revenue numbers here, we can see that from 2021, it definitely went downwards and there was at least some stagnation, I guess. Yeah, and then about, I guess, 2 months ago, Niantic actually sold off Pokemon Go and their gaming, I don't know if it was the division, but at least their titles like Monster Hunter now it's called IP, I guess, like where they used pretty much intellectual property of some other company like Pokemon or Nintendo, like in this case. So they kind of sold that to some Saudi Arabian company, I guess. Yeah, so Scopely, it's kind of some gaming company. And they kind of pretty much completely shifted the way that they would enter the market with AR away from a gaming perspective, I guess. And so about a week ago, they published this article here, Day 1 for Niantic Spatial. They also did some kind of rebranding here, so it's not just Niantic, but Niantic Spatial. And they're also very much kind of redefined what kind of products they offer, right? So if you follow this channel, you know that I've been doing like some tutorials in the past and many with the Niantic Lightship SDK. And this is kind of their development kit, which were the tools they actually developed for creating Pokemon Go, and they kind of made them available publicly for free, which is, still the case, but now you gotta pay for them if you have a certain amount of users. And so I guess now the focus is a little bit different. So let's take a look at the article here. So let's see what it says. So today marks Day 1 for Niantic Spatial Inc., a new company with one goal: to build the world's leading AI for understanding and interacting the real world. So not so many words on gaming or AR or something, but rather some kind of spatial AI. So kind of a way to understand the environment with AI or for AI even, right? So AI understands text, code, and images, but doesn't understand the world we live in. Our mission is to build large geospatial models, fuse the physical and digital world. And since they sold off their game IPs for I guess $3 or $3.5 billion. So they do have quite a bit of extra cash here to invest. And so I guess what they'll mostly do now, instead of building games, is they'll kind of try to pretty much do probably like navigation and stuff like that for robots and for people. So I guess if you would work in some big warehouse and then wear an AR glass, then you would probably get, some kind of navigation where to go, or maybe even for delivery drivers, or maybe within a big hospital or stuff like that. But then also probably for robots, so they can kind of navigate around and understand the environment. And so what I'm pretty much interested in here is now also how that developer SDK is kind of then moving forward, because we had a lot of features like meshing and then shared AR, which were pretty nice. And if they kind of will scrape now things like shared AR, or maybe don't build any new features for that anymore and very much like concentrate on things like meshing and navigation, which isn't too bad, honestly. It can also be used for games, I guess, but there are other things that are, also would also be useful. But yeah, that's kind of what they actually wrote here in their blog article. And if we take a look at the website right now, it's also all about AI. So they're kind of all within this hype. And I get it. I mean, AI is like everywhere now. And so it's also in terms of getting investors, I guess, and getting a better evaluation, like name dropping AI as often as possible. We'll probably get like some more investments in. But also, I guess it's also kind of clear that this is the direction where we go. I mean, AR, in a sense of setting AR objects in the real world, is, from my experience, much more valuable if you have a very good understanding of the world, right? Because otherwise, if you think about it, just setting 3D models on a surface, it's a nice effect, but I guess also this wonder or this surprise effect of, hey, I got this 3D model standing in front of me in the real world, is kind of over, that people are getting super excited about that. It's more like something they've already seen. But if you think about actual useful AR applications, could be games or anything else, if it really understands this is a table, that's a screen, here are the walls, then because the objects need to be spawned procedurally, like at some kind of surface, I guess. And so if they just get spawned anywhere, there's really no big advantage over just having a normal 3D scene in your phone, right? So you would have to kind of include the environment to actually make it worth even using AR. Yeah, so they seem to then kind of double down on the capture. So there's Scaniverse stuff, which is pretty cool to create like Gaussian splitting, and then their VPS system, and then they still have their Niantic SDK, but they also have their Niantic Studio, which is kind of their web AR engine, I guess. So this is also pretty cool. This is more something, I guess, for like advertising, or maybe could be used also for indoor navigation, I guess, with web AR. But this is definitely not like one of the big heavy duty on device apps, but rather for like a simple thing. But coming back to this combination of AR and artificial intelligence, I think that I actually heard something quite interesting here in the latest Lex Friedman podcast, which was with the Google CEO. And this was actually about like upcoming XR products. So let's quickly take a look at this.
You've revolutionized web browsing. You've revolutionized a lot of things over the years. Android changed the game. It's an incredible operating system. We could talk for hours about Android. What does the future of Android look like? Is it possible it becomes more and more AI centric, especially now that you throw into the mix Android XR with being able to do augmented reality and mixed reality and virtual reality in the physical world?
The best innovations in computing have come when you're through a paradigm IO change, right? Like, when with GUI, and then with a graphical user interface, and then with multi-touch in the context of mobile, voice later on. Similarly, I feel like, AR is that next paradigm.
Also, this is a pretty good sign that the Google CEO says actually something like this, that AR is the next paradigm, because if you are like an AR enthusiast or developer, I guess if someone like this truly believes in this, then he probably knows some stuff that will only come out in a few years and surface in a few years, like what they're currently working on. So I guess that is a pretty good thing.
I think it was held back. Both the system integration challenges of making good AR is very, very hard. The second thing is you need AI to actually otherwise the IO is too complicated. For you to have a natural, seamless IO to that paradigm, AI ends up being super important. And so this is why Project Astra ends up being super critical for that Android XR.
What is actually Project Astra? I guess that's their like, I think they brought out these glasses that were solely thought for like for training AI with like physical real world data, I guess. I'm not sure if that was the actual project here. Yeah, but something with combining AR and AI, I guess with Gemini Live, yeah, some kind of glasses that would just, you'll be able to talk to and they be able to see your context. So this is pretty interesting as well, right?
Our world. But it is, I think when you use glasses and, always been amazed like at the how useful these things are going to be. So I think it's a real opportunity for Android. I think XR is one way it'll kind of really come to life. But I think there's an opportunity to rethink the mobile OS too, right? I think we've been kind of living in this paradigm of like apps and shortcuts. All that won't go away. But again, like if you're trying to get stuff done at an operating system level, it needs to be more agentic so that you can kind of describe what you want to do, or like it proactively understands what you're trying to do, learn.
Yeah, so I think what they're talking about here is also kind of the integration of AI into operating system, but then more specifically within AR, I guess it will be the combination of an AI agent and AI assistant, also in terms of using the AR glasses. So if you've ever used like the Quest or maybe the Spectacles from Snapchat, if you want to type something, you mostly will use like this kind of floating keyboard and you have to type like this in the air, and there's like no haptical or tactical feedback, which is pretty hard to type. Like if you would have to do like a full like search query or something, if you would want to write a whole document, that's like kind of horrible. So I guess it's also kind of about not only the contextual understanding here, but about actually using it and making it comfortable to use. Yeah, so I guess I understand pretty much also that this kind of move here from Niantic makes a lot of sense in terms of just going straight for AR, straight for placing 3D objects very well in the scene. This is not really the future. This is something that we are already doing, and now we have to kind of, to make it more useful, I guess, have to kind of combine it with AI. And I completely agree with that. I mean, the word AI is used so often, and this is such a like key phrase that is completely overused, but it definitely makes sense. I'm pretty much looking forward into the future where we'll have this combination, like this consumer grade smart glasses that will understand our context and then kind of be really useful in a lot of ways. And I also made a video about that, which is about augmented cognition. So basically the term AR could become, in my opinion, the term augmented cognition, because it will ultimately, these kind of devices will ultimately also enhance the way we think and understand the world. And so it's actually more about becoming kind of a smarter human, have more possibilities. All right, but that's it for this video. So let me know your opinion and what you guys think about kind of this development. So please write a comment below and let's discuss there. But until then, as always, thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.